Hello, thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Monday, reaching you from our Abuja studio here in the capital of Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Bobrisky released from prison once again spraying of Naira notes at parties. Governor Sanwo-Olu opens new channel of engagement with protesters, thanks Lagos residents and says their voices have been heard loud and clear. And later on the show, Governor Sule says Nigerians should ask state governors what they are doing with improved revenues. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Kolawole Johnson. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Correctional centers by design are supposed to be reformatory for inmates to drop bad behaviors. Controversial cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky, is singing a new tune following his release after serving 6 months imprisonment over abuse of the Naira. Bobrisky cautioned Nigerians against abusing the Naira to avoid ending up in prison. Today, Bobrisky officially now an ex-convict.
An ex-convict, but the free man, he's free now. He's free as a bird now. But I hope future he won't be reckless again, because to openly spray Naira notes when you know there's a law against it, although he claimed that I didn't know that there was a law. It amounts to being reckless, and that's why I called him Bob Reckless. In life, we learn exemplary lessons, and the lessons that we pick up help us to become better citizens, better human beings. I want to believe that Bobrisky has seen that, in the words of Portable, after God, na government. You must not disobey the laws.
G-Wagon Brabus, saw the convoy, saw everything, but the bottom line now.
You are an ex-convict. You went to jail. You went to jail.
No matter how you try to
until a governor gives you state pardon, you remain an ex-convict. You went to jail. You are a jailbird, you know.
So,
and I just hope, from what he said, you know, let me even try to quote him. He said, "You have to follow the rules and abide by the laws. Don't spray money, or you will become a landlord in Kirikiri. It is not just about killing or any criminal activity that can take you to prison." So he was saying something as simple as spray money can actually send you to prison. So he is appealing to his people not to spray money. And you can see even the Cubana chief priest that escaped jail, he too now has, as part of his terms of settlement, he has to now be preaching against spraying of Naira notes, mutilation of Naira notes and all that. So I believe that he has learned his lessons. We are not against him dressing like a woman, but that is your problem.
That's your headache.
But if you see the law and you deliberately trample on the law, then
use it as a scapegoat.
You'll be made a scapegoat. I think that it serves the good purpose of achieving a better Nigeria when people who are famous are made examples of.
Yeah.
So lowly
everybody
people.
to send that signal.
Yeah, because some people used to say that he has big people in government that nobody can touch him.
Yes,
you know,
so
I had a lot of
that
all those
untouchable,
nonsense that they write
Somebody
on
just
social
wanted
media.
to serve him
You know,
breakfast.
they say, I know he has big people in government. Nothing will happen to Bobrisky. You know, and I'm like, who is Bobrisky, for God's sake?
Kudos to the judiciary.
You know, at the end of the day, the judge didn't even exercise
No
that option of
fine.
fine. Because the law says not with an option of fine or both. That's what people don't realize. So, he too, he was sensible. He should have appealed. I think it dawned on them that look, don't bother yourself to appeal. But there's nowhere you go, this judgment will stand, because the judge exercised his power to give him an option of fine or refuse to give him an option of fine. So at the end of the day, what we read about earlier, that he was going to appeal, they didn't bother themselves.
Kola Ole Johnson, sorry. Kola, as in, he had an option. There was this money laundering case against him too. So it's either you forfeit that money or go to 6 months. Guys, go away with your money laundering thing. I will wait for a better resurrection. After my 6 months in jail, the amount in my account will still be there.
But, why did you start by saying that whether we like it or not is an ex-convict?
It is what
That's the reality.
Is that not reality?
It is what it is, right? Unfortunately, he said he's the mummy of Lagos. I don't know where the first
He's the ex-convict of Lagos. Ex-convict of Lagos.
I don't know whether to address him now as a he or a she.
No, the judge
you
asked,
have no right.
moment of truth.
You have no right to address him as she.
Okay.
Because when the judge asked him his gender,
It was the moment
he told
of
us.
That's I was going to mention that.
So why should you now call him what he didn't call himself? He can sue you.
He voiced out sharp.
How can the mummy of Lagos own up that he's a boy before the judge?
After God. Now
government. You know. See, I did something in one of our studies some years back. It was B.F. Skinner that came up with a research, and the entire thing, the crux of that research is very simple: that the reaction you give to an action will either reinforce it or deter further occurrence. Now, Bobrisky was the law has been there all along, but we were not enforcing that law. But being, in quotes, a socialite, a popular person, as soon as the hammer fell on him, go check. Immediately, everybody
That can stop.
Try behaving themselves.
Immediately, everybody stopped.
What they do now is the bundle. They just take the bundle.
Now,
put it.
So what would that tell us in our society? As long as you allow people to get away with crime, criminality in the name of anything, you can, in fact, you will only succeed in multiplying that particular or those vices in our community. So it goes to show that if the government will summon courage, if the security agencies will summon courage, if our judicial system will be responsive, because that case also could go on for the next 3, 4, 5 years, and
look at
adjournment.
the punishment.
Yeah, but fortunately, it was dealt with once and for all, and you can see how that is correcting that that norm in the society.
She's not an ambassador now.
It therefore shows that if we are able to, it's not about creating new laws. It's about enforcing the ones we have on ground. We will be able to correct the ills of our society. We cannot build our society on selective justice. It won't work. Look at what we're hearing. It's got people in government. It's got big people mind foot. As long as you contravene the law of the land, as long as you are not following the law, you should pay. You should pay the price, and it will help us to have a sane and orderly society. Bobrisky has been an example of that. The same thing, if we start getting corrupt people and send them to jail, at the right time. Because these days, what they do, they say just steal as much as you can. You bribe those you can bribe, and you use the rest to of course. If we can change our ways and start throwing these people into jail, what that means is simple: we can have the better Nigeria we are building. We will not have it as long as the law can only fall, or the hammer will only fall on the poor, while the rich will keep living large despite the law.
Jide, that culture of impunity is going to, subside, considerably now.
This culture of throwing our currency.
Yes.
Have you seen Cubana chief priest?
Yes. At
You
the height
saw
of
some of his videos.
Yes. Throwing
The
our
way,
money.
the disrespect that he showed to our currency. And the moment they got Bobrisky, they knew that as long as if they leave him alone, people will say, oh, you deliberately targeted Bobrisky, but you saw a bigger fish. You didn't touch him. So you can see now, I was watching a video. Instead of spraying money, he spoke into the ears of the musician, and he was holding his phone. So it's like he just transferred money. In the past, he would have just thrown it like that. Bam! There was a lawyer, Ayo, who was promoted to SAN.
The SAN, yes.
Yes.
Is this Abuja?
He got this
party.
SANship, yes. Go and watch what Obi Cubana was.
Cubana chief priest.
Cubana chief priest, sorry. We always, because they came from the same loins. Same loins. So, what he was doing in that place, with that his usual oversized jacket, it was just, I said, what is this? He would just say money and water. What is the meaning of that? Respect the law.
You find Dangote throwing money like that.
You know, get money, reach Dangote now. Soyinka said a tiger does not need to show his tigritude. If you are a tiger, even your color don't show say you be tiger.
It's empty.
Your color don't show.
You can't even see Aliko with currency.
We do.
Aliko himself told us that there are Nigerians who have more cash than him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one day he's granted an interview abroad. Now said he wanted to be sure that he was actually rich. That he just took $100 million.
Yeah.
So $100,000.
No, was it dollars?
Just took it at the back of his
I think some naira.
Just slept overnight with it. The next day, he took it back to the bank. He just wanted to show that this is one.
The thing is, don't even be obscene.
Yeah, I
showing
agree.
that you are rich.
I agree, but
Don't be
let me
obscene.
chip in something.
Because in a country where there is rampant poverty,
let me chip
you
in
can't be
something.
seen to be throwing money around. Like
Let
that.
me
No
chip in something. Let me be the devil's advocate somewhat. These people, they want to drive their online presence. They want to drive followership. So a lot of things they do is for that purpose, always for the gram. So when he throws money, what are the other things that he posts online? To drive his own,
Stepping on our currency, disrespecting our currency.
No, I'm going there. Now, where they disrespect the law, in doing that, and of course, that's where the law will always come after them. Again, here is it. Do you know that after all said and done today, he's not doing that again?
That's what we're making now.
So fix the law. Those things will fix themselves.
All right, moving on now. Contrary to apprehension before commencement of the nationwide protests over economic hardship, the exercise took place in an atmosphere of decorum in Lagos State. As such, the state government has expressed appreciation to protesters in Lagos for their peaceful conduct and announcement of an end to their action following the nationwide broadcast by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who praised the leaders of the protests in Lagos, said their collective voice has been heard by the government in demonstration of the commitment of the Lagos State government to continuous engagement with the youths. The governor directed that dialogue over the issue must continue. Jide? Relatively peaceful.
Yeah, very peaceful.
Compared to what we had
peaceful.
during the
Compared to
destruction.
Life teaches so many lessons. We can see that NSAS taught the governor of Lagos State, some lessons in leadership. He clearly handled this matter in a very remarkable way, much better than a lot of his mates handle it. We are not saying that other governors where strikes didn't and where protests didn't happen did not do well. They all had
way of neutralizing, dousing
that
the tension.
this thing didn't resort to violence. We are not saying that those who did not protest are saints or they are the best Nigerians. Our concern all along had been, can we parade the streets in the name of protest without it degenerating in some parts of the country? That was the fear that some of us had. And as you can see today, in some parts of northern Nigeria, for example, people are desperate to protest because they see it as an opportunity to steal. Look at in Jos, they were targeting the second biggest market in the state. They had to push them back. In Kano, they went to Zoo Road. Zoo Road has a lot of big department stores and all that. Beautiful place in Zoo Road. They wanted to loot the place. And these properties belong to private people. Are they the ones who are making you to be hungry? So, but we saw in Lagos,
common sense,
Lagos is a complex place. It's not a space easy to govern. That is one fact. But we must commend Governor Sanwo-Olu because he moved quickly.
Learning from the mistakes.
Ahead of a day before the kickoff of this protest. I'm not going to call it nationwide because at least a quarter of the states in our country didn't get involved in it. So I won't call it nationwide protest. That is, I like the way one of the TV stations called it August protest. I'm not going to call it nationwide because it didn't cut across our country, you know. Maybe my definition of nationwide is wrong, but that is what I've chosen to do. If at least a quarter of the states in our country didn't, more than a quarter didn't get involved. A quarter of 36 is 9 states. More than 9 states didn't get involved. So it's, to me, it's not nationwide. Anybody can say what he likes. So the governor addressed the people. He said, no true Lagosian or friend of Lagos will encourage us to go this route again. That is not who we are. Let us not allow our state to be plunged into chaos again. Let us show the world that Lagos remains a city of resilience, where the voices of its people are heard and respected through peaceful and lawful means. Let us reject any attempt to throw the state into violence. Look at the way he spoke to people. And then the stakeholder engagement
we're all
across
stakeholders.
different groups in society.
Came out.
So when you make the right moves, you are likely to get the right results. If you simply start back that, we cannot convince these boys, they made up their mind, these boys and girls have made up their mind, let me just leave them. Whatever I do, they will still protest. We won't have what we had in Lagos. Everybody was afraid for Lagos because if you look at whether on social media or even physically, the greatest number of people shouting about protests were residents in Lagos. The people stealing in Kano, even attacking mosque to steal rugs. The people attacking churches in Katsina, they are likely not on social media. Lagos is the capital of social media in our country. The highest number of people on social media are residents in Lagos.
The population.
Yet, in spite of the frenetic campaign for the protests to happen, we didn't see protests happen in the manner that we feared. The protesters largely conducted themselves peacefully. Where they were asked to go, they went. Even when they were not, even when They didn't go to where they were asked to congregate. They didn't contravene the law. They didn't break into people's shops. They didn't damage traffic lights in the guise of trying to steal. They didn't attack court premises and steal exhibits taken from criminals. So we saw Lagos show leadership, not in terms of not protesting, but in protesting in the right way, in a peaceful way. Yeah. We are not after protest. Our fear is the descent to anarchy, the violent combustions that can come with protest. That was what people feared. And you cannot blame them with what we are seeing in Kano and some other places. What, for example, how do you explain people carrying flags of Russia all over? Do they even know the meaning of what they are doing?
I don't understand that thing. I still want to wrap my head around
carrying flags.
I don't get.
In Lagos, they didn't do that. What is the meaning of as if the nonsense that we saw over this zanga was not enough? You are now carrying the flag of Russia. Do you know the meaning?
To do what?
Because you've seen people in Niger Republic and Mali do it.
They are Putin to come and colonize us.
Oh, this Putin and the Russians. Do the Russians care about religion, for example? Eh? So Putin come and colonize us as a people. Is that what these misguided boys? Is that what they want? Do they know the meaning? It's just that people asking for military rule at this stage.
No, they asked.
People who do not. I see people who did not. They were too young.
They asked
when the military, when Abacha and his goons were ruling Nigeria and they were killing innocent people.
Killer squads.
How did we lose Yaradua? Shehu Musa Yaradua.
Rejected.
Because he showed a desire to contest for presidency. These stories have not been told to some of them by their parents.
Alexi Bru, Baba Desoya.
This is a constitutional lawyer.
Yes.
Onogorua.
His first son, Toyin.
Look at what they did to him. Because Onogorua was
never recovered.
Onogorua was told, don't go into the government. You know, don't go into the government. He didn't agree. By the time he got into it and he wanted to come out, that was when they now descended on him. These stories, these boys, some of them were not born. A 21-year-old boy. Somebody saw a video of one activist talking and talking. He now said, is this the new Ghani? I said, are you out of your mind? You are comparing this one to Ghani. Do you know Ghani? I mean, chief, stories have to be told. It's unfortunate that at a point we even stopped history from being taught. How will people know about their country? How will people know their civic responsibilities? So Lagos actually did very well, and I think that I'm particularly happy, not because protests took place, but in a dignified manner.
I think the first, second day, I still saw them at the Ghanaian Park, and they were still, talking. Yeah. So as at Sunday yesterday, I saw some hoodlums descending on some people that are assembled at that same park.
They don't want protest.
They don't want
those boys.
Boys in Lagos. So,
no, the thing is that before he comes in, the thing is for the area boy, if you block roads
daily
and they are unable to move around, a lot of them are conductors, and they are unable to move around, and this their daily pay. They cannot collect it. They will get hungry. They will be breaking people's heads up and down. So they were thinking that I hope there is people are not trying to force us into answers
again after the president's speech.
Well, it's not right, sir.
I hope that is true. I hope that was true anyway. I hope it wasn't state-sponsored anyway. Now,
nobody said it's state-sponsored, but those guys descended.
They can sponsor themselves.
True.
They can sponsor themselves.
I hope that is true anyway. Now, let me please say this. If I miss your question, please bring me back. It is time to call on the president to act decisively in Kano. I will say it again. To act decisively in Kano. See, the fight for the soul of Africa by external factors I think the game is on seriously. Our neighbors were once under the, let me use the very common word, the colony of French. France was that. Now, they've kicked out France. Russia is taking control of that place. During the Cold War era, you know, it was a two divide. Those who are anti-West and those who are pro-West. France and the entire, you know, lineup, they are the Western guys. And Russia belongs to the, you know, the other bloc. And they are playing, they see, the world, they are playing game. You know, when they tell us that the international relations space is an hypothetical construct, they know what they are saying.
Okay.
No, please.
Okay, let me pay some bills.
Okay, please.
I'll be right back after this timeout. Please, we'll take this, brother. We'll be right back after this timeout. Please stay with us.
Know that President Bola Tinubu has approved the suspension of import duties and tariffs on rice, maize, and other essential food items for the next 5 months. The President has also approved the suspension of import duties on pharmaceutical raw materials and equipment. This will help bring down the prices of food and drugs across the country. All hands are on deck to ensure that things get better for all Nigerians. This is the renewed hope.
Floods everywhere. Let's work together to minimize the impact of floods and associated waterborne diseases like cholera by ensuring the following. Clear your drains and waterways. Don't dump refuse in the waterways and canal. Don't walk or drive through flood waters. Do not defecate in the open. Plant trees to protect your property and the environment. Don't drink flood waters. Collaborate at regional, state, local government and community levels to fight the menace of floods. Keep your environment clean always. Climate change is real. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation.
Imagine a world where your potential isn't limited by your bank account, where your financial dreams can become reality. That world is here with the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation scheme, Credicore. Credicore is one of President Tinubu's initiatives designed to put the power of consumer credit in the hands of working Nigerians. Here to help you achieve your goals, whether it's providing for your family or expanding your home or business. Visit www.credicore.ng today for details. This is the renewed hope.
Quality wires and cables come light up your life. Want to light up your house. Want to give you better. Extraordinary wire. Cables. Wires. Quality. Durable. Capable. Cables. Wires. Quality. Durable. Capable. Everybody, come and see. Wires, wonder things. Brother, sister, uncle, auntie, go get your own. Wires, cables, quality, durable, capable. Wires, cables, quality, durable, capable.
Coleman Wires and Cable. Great quality. Now with the new look.
Relief is coming. More wages, reduced costs. Nigeria's national minimum wage is now 70,000 naira and it will be reviewed every 3 years. The federal government will commence immediate implementation and state governments are being encouraged to follow suit. With the presidential CNG initiative, transport costs are coming down. Are you a car owner or a transporter? Visit www.pci.gov.ng to find out how you can benefit from switching to CNG. This is the renewed hope.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. And Kolawole Johnson, you were making a point before we went.
I was saying that for people to be so, it won't just start for somebody to, or for tailors to be sewing Russian flag. Let's. For me, I don't just take things on the surface. I mean, saying it, and they are distributing it for what purpose? Who started that? From where?
Even in Jos.
Yeah.
In Jos North.
So for me,
they've been sharing it too.
yeah, I look at
Russian
things
flag.
beyond the surface by my training.
This is pure
So
madness.
we should address that immediately. In fact, I can afford to leave the protest elsewhere and address that one. So for me, it will be a call on the president to deal decisively with Kano now. If you need to declare curfew, whatever we need to do, stop whatever is it in Kano. We mustn't have that again. Now, let me move ahead. Lagos will always show the example. In the days of doing impact assessment for a world organization, Lagos was always leading. Look at all the indices. In this one too, I think what worked more, or what worked in Lagos was not just the engagement. It was also the historical perspective, the fear of the past. So fear was there that if we go violent, will something else happen? That was there. And two, the governor engaged much more earlier. And there's something he has done now that I think is very commendable. I said, oh, you have stopped. Thank you. However, we even want to open additional lines of engagement so we can engage you further. And they release mobile numbers of members of executive council, commissioners in charge of those different. Awesome.
Brilliant.
Awesome. And now you can reach them directly.
They are not prepared to rest on their
Yes. So which shows that, we are not asking
Dialogue
you
should
to
be
stop
ongoing.
for we are not asking
Continuous.
you to stop for fun. In fact, we want to talk to you now to address these issues. And I think I don't want to say that the FG should take a cue from this, but the FG should also be looking at ways of ensuring that we do stakeholders management, not necessarily the protester alone. There are different stakeholders, different groups. They can map them into different units, and you engage them directly from time to time.
Julie,
especially
some other people want even the media to engage Mr. President.
That's what I'm saying. See,
Mr.
No,
President.
we
himself.
talked about
let's
that.
do stakeholders management.
talked
See,
about that.
we can do this stratification. You can get this, group into different groups, and you engage. It doesn't have to be only when he's giving us a national address. I keep saying this. What happens to quarterly review? If we cannot do monthly review, at least let's do this.
Quarterly interministerial
Yes.
review.
Now, I should be expecting a situation where the president was, okay, things are critical now. You can't be meeting every week for fake. They can dedicate one of those, weeks, either the second week or so, to be review of what you have done in the past month. So that at least they can make news from that. It will go out. That
Because
in
the
the past
problem
month,
is
this is the mileage you have
the
done.
things that they are doing. People are not aware.
At all.
Yes.
Somebody watched
Bosun?
no.
Okay.
Somebody watched Bometu Jojo.
All right.
Yeah.
On Friday.
And he sent me a message. This guy, you mean they've done all of this? For example, the number of people who are stagnated in that ministry, Ministry of Interior, and they had to promote at
For
once.
years.
It's unprecedented.
For years, for several years.
Yet that is
Some were
not-
on the
that
same
is
spot
not-
for 9 years, 10 years.
That is
That's
not
not make
what we
headline.
read. That is
Yes,
not what we
you
read.
don't read that.
No, the thing is, see, people may not make headlines, but if you are determined to get it in the consciousness of people, you are the one who will make up your mind. Wike said something the other day that, look, I will cause people to talk about me. Because when that first, what's it called that he had with us, that first media chat, everybody logged on to it, including the people that were not engaged to cover it live. They were forced because that was the issue of that day.
Impact.
Now, if you see, TV time, for example, is a lot of money. But if you want the world to know that this is what you are doing, you should never shy away
From publicity.
from letting people know that this is what you are doing.
let's
This
go.
is the
So
problem
things are-
that this government, hold on please,
Okay.
because it's a critical issue. When we have ministers that sometimes will call, they are reluctant to come and talk about their achievements.
I'm telling you.
So this is a big problem that this administration has. Because I look at some of the things that the president has done that people don't even know about, they don't talk about.
48
All we
ministers.
keep talking, they keep saying, oh, he removed subsidy, he did this, he did that. But there are some positive things. And if you are, as a government, you are not aggressive in pushing out that narrative that I've done this, I've done that, nobody will blow that trumpet for you. You have to show aggression to let the world know that, yes, I've done
Well,
this,
if
I've
you are
done
coming,
that.
if
And
you
I
are
mean
coming,
well.
the airport now in Abuja, if you are coming from
I
outside,
missed my way coming
you
here
will,
today.
no, you will serve yourself. Number one, Abuja Airport was my first time. I think like 3 months ago was my first time in that Abuja International Airport. I did not believe that this is Nigeria. Well, going forward, instead of you to go through the immigration, you have to. If you're in Nigeria, you have to go through this thing yourself.
I told you that.
And you scan and go. You don't have to go through immigration officer again.
I said the
Self-service.
same thing here. I said the same thing here last week. That I've spoken to, and I know that the government has done, some great things in many areas, but unfortunately, they are not out there. But we asked the minister,
Look at
and
consumer
he said
credit, for example.
they don't want to run propaganda. See, listen, today I was coming. I missed my way. Look at what Wike is doing in Abuja. What?
You must miss your way.
Come on. Look at what he's doing in
matter how
Abuja.
much
In
you
just
hate
1
him,
year.
No matter how much, you must admit.
Everyone
Some
knows
of the people who hate him say,
I'm not his person.
no, it's only resurfacing roads. I said,
Yeah.
See,
even the Wuye Bridge is resurfacing of road.
to come here if you're coming from Games Village axis, or from the city gate, just navigating directly to get to. No, the guy has done tremendously well. And I also learned that he did some reform on ground. How he got the money should be another area to study. Do you know that they got that money by you banks, maybe you know that our money will be coming to you. So you can also do something ahead for us.
Yes.
The guy
accessing the funds
has
ahead
to
of time
also
to
move,
banks.
put his brain to work to access funds. So I'm saying that if this is what we have noted, and we even said this one last year, we were in Lagos, and I discussed this, that this government will have a fundamental issue if they don't communicate well, because in terms of perception, they are behind. I said this last year.
Government had this. In terms of infrastructure, you can see roads, what Umahi is doing.
Dave.
You can accuse him of all kinds of things, but when it comes to implementing,
Quality of the road.
is top
Look
notch.
at our Third Milan Bridge.
Now, there is one road that is building in the Mambila area. By the time he finishes that road, those people will start treating him like a god, because they had waited and waited. Umahi is building one road for them in the Mambila area. This is a place that I went to in Taraba State.
Taraba State.
They never expected that help will come, but they are doing it. Gradually, big steps are being taken, but a lot of these things people don't know. One of the lessons that this government must pick up from this season, this protest season, is to communicate, and communicate in the right way. They must change their attitude to communication. Any minister who is not prepared to communicate should be fired.
Honestly,
it's as simple as
not
that.
talking. You're just
It's
there.
as simple as that.
Just there, not doing that.
Abi,
Not talking, not
if you are not
doing
prepared
anything.
to communicate,
No, I think it's not about the minister. There are
it's about who. then?
engine rooms of government. There are structures that should do this. I'm
Are you
saying
saying
that
the ministers should be insulated from
no.
talking to the public? Why are they there?
I'm not saying that. See, internally, is there a mechanism where what have you done this month? Do they even do that at all?
No,
number one.
that's why we
Number
talked
two.
about interministerial briefing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying now.
Because
so
Buhari was
if the
doing that.
structure is there, if the government put that structure in place,
Of course, that's
for them to
suggestion.
do- they'll be
There are some
talking. That's what I'm
ministers I
saying.
don't know them.
What I'm saying is that if the government put the structure for the minister to be briefing us regularly, they will. They can't, they can't abstain
Some
from,
of them, they
stay away from that.
They shouldn't even wait until they say go and talk. Why should you wait? And some of them, they don't want to talk. The press goes to them saying, okay, we want to see you. They will not come. What kind of ministers are they?
Okay.
I've never seen a generation of ministers reluctant to talk about what they are doing like these present ministers.
Or to talk about the achievement of their principal.
Or both their own and their principal. They are not even ready to talk.
Achievement is in units. Those achievements are even with a different ministry. That's where they are.
Okay. And finally, the basis for the removal of petrol subsidy was to free up funds going into private pockets for development purposes, but improved revenues for states after the first subsidy removal is yet to translate to prosperity for citizens. As such, the governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, has urged Nigerians to hold state governors accountable over improved allocation from the federation accounts. Governor Sule urged the people to ask their state governors what they are doing with the improved revenues from the federation accounts. I was shocked when somebody told me that a state like Ekiti State is now getting 7 and 8 billion naira. It was Kolawole Johnson that told us about one particular state in the South.
Delta State.
What does Delta?
Please, Delta.
Listen to this. Give it time.
Let's have Delta first.
Now, Delta got 483.57 billion naira last year alone, 2023. The entire, the 6 states of the South got about 1.8 trillion naira that same year. So when you sit in Delta State and you are shouting Tinubu without knowing that any bad governance should start from your very state, it's an error. Now, take for example, this year alone, between January and June this year, Delta has gotten 260 billion naira, which means that by the end of this year,
260 billion.
260 billion naira. Delta has gotten 260 billion naira. In fact, 4 states in the South, Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa, has gotten almost 800 billion naira in 6 months of this year.
Almost 1 trillion naira.
Oh yes, 800 billion. Now, so when you sit down in those places and you don't understand that the subsidy that was free, you see, how much did they share in the first 6 months of last year? FG and the states shared about 3.6 trillion naira. No, sorry, the first 5 months of last year, between January and May 2023. FG and the states shared about 3.6 trillion naira. But this year, in the same period, 5 months, they have shared about 10.13 trillion naira. Almost times 3 of what was shared last year in the same period. So when you say, where's the money free from subsidy is everywhere in Nigeria, but in state houses, in government coffers. Now, the question is this. Have you increased your salary since that time? I think in a lot of places the answer is no.
No.
Are we having increase in infrastructures, in deliveries? The answer is no. So rather than coming to Abuja to protest, that's why when I see when people say, oh, they want to come to Abuja to protest, you live in your state where the money has been sent
to your governor.
Honestly, but again, I don't want to keep blaming
the Nasarawa governor said.
Yeah,
he said
that's what they said now. He said, ask your governor what they are doing with the money.
What you are aiming, look at the example.
I just quoted here.
Look at the example he gave. He said Tinubu does not own, as the president, he does not own land anywhere. The land belongs to the states. What are they doing in the area of agriculture? We are talking about hunger. We just saw the governor of Anambra State now coming up with a project meant to attack the problem of hunger.
Oh yeah.
What are the and Anambra does not have the kind of land that we see in a lot of the northern states.
And Governor
what are the governors doing?
See,
people talk about the example of Bago, but it's just one governor now out of many, and it's not among the richest. His state is not among the richest.
It should be even among the lowest.
It's not among the richest. The
what
only
state is that?
Niger,
the largest state.
They have land mass. They have land mass. but they are not among the richest. So if states that have land, arable land, they are not cultivating, they are not getting people employed through agriculture, then something is wrong.
Now,
something is wrong.
Now, just like the figure is saying, Niger has gotten only 53 billion naira this year, the 6 months of the year, January to
While Delta has gotten
260 billion in 6 months.
The same states.
Yes. In 6 months, 260 billion. Whereas Niger, that is doing something about
Rivers. Look at Rivers too. Rivers and Akwa
Rivers should be about
Rivers and Akwa Ibom are also very big hyenas.
Yes,
very big.
Okay, Rivers has gotten 197 billion. Akwa Ibom has
6
gotten
months.
179 billion in 6 months.
Lagos,
has, I think, should be 16.
Lagos is also a big
Lagos has gotten 161 billion.
Very big hyena.
Now, let's come to the indices too.
But look at even the size of some projects that Lagos is.
No,
the light rail project.
Red line is ready. Blue line is ready.
Lagos is you can say okay, they may not be meeting up to target in some areas, but Lagos would always be Lagos. Honestly,
light years ahead.
Yeah. So in fact, the main reason why we criticize Lagos is that you expect more because of the antecedent, which is true, and especially because
that is the first state to have a 1 billion naira budget during the Jakonde year.
Yes,
so Lagos has always been a leader.
No, the Southwest has always been. In those days, the Southwest borrowed the federal government 12 million pounds. In those days, the Southwest was borrowing the central government money.
We had cash
I think we should get back to the days where states are buoyant enough.
Now, the bottom line of what Governor Sule is saying now is that hold your governors.
So for me, he gave the example too.
I'm supporting this protest.
Local governments in the states. He said in the past they used to get 2.2 billion, but the local governments are now getting 4 billion.
More than 4 billion.
That's like double
what they used to get.
Yes. So they have no reason to not let that reflect.
The sharing formula.
They have no reason to. People must see what they are doing.
Let me give you
across all
the impact of the removal of subsidies.
So the point that he's making that should not be lost on us is that you cannot be blaming federal government for everything.
See, AY.
Now, when you're talking about our economy not doing well,
yes,
it is everybody's
coming together.
Yes, everybody's problem.
See, what
are the states doing?
Let me give this that even concerns me, and us, my own area, even you. Before now, within the same, the 13% derivation has increased by almost 300%.
Wow.
Yes. Take, for example,
the same
period, all producing states got about 155 billion naira that time. But this same period, all producing states, the 13% derivation, the extra money, they have gotten 519 billion. Look at it. From 155 to 519 billion naira. So there is more money in the states today.
So
that
ask questions from
governor more.
Yes.
So again, let me bring it back to the federal government. How many persons have these details? Let them be briefing the people. That this is what your Okonjo-Iweala did it in those days.
Was publishing the allocation.
Your state has gotten so amount this month. Go and hold them accountable.
Why are they not doing it now?
So, for example, that's an example.
Why is the Minister of Finance
an example.
Not publishing it now?
So that's an example. In the local government just told Governor Aiyedatiwa what is happening.
Ecological fund.
Want to know.
Ecological fund and all of that. It's now in the state. So, AY, the truth must be told. I am supporting this protest and bad governance, but all of us should go to our state and carry the placard in our state.
That's the enlightenment there.
It's everywhere.
Bad governance is not limited to the federal government.
Now, some are saying return the subsidy. I've been advocating for this removal maybe for over 6-7 years. You can bear me witness. We cannot have that.
Some of the people, before the election, all the three major candidates.
Yes.
Oh,
Said
they
so.
all said they were going to remove subsidy.
Yes. In fact, I listened
They all said they would
to
remove
With
subsidy.
speech.
I listened
So
to Peter Obi.
if today you are now saying that the government is callous, remove subsidy, that they've not addressed the demands of the people, you are indirectly saying that they should have reversed the subsidy remover. That means you have a split personality. You said this today, tomorrow you can change what you have said.
Is gone, though.
Nigerians cannot be talking about that. What I want to see is not for subsidy removal to be reversed, but for us to do whatever it takes to strengthen our currency. Even China, they are still doing something that you can describe as managed float. You know,
It's a command.
It's
a command capitalist economy.
when you are in a country that is import dependent, you cannot afford to simply leave your currency to be struggling against bad weather and all that.
Other
No.
countries are floating now.
Yes.
Other
just-
countries are floating now.
See, there is a difference between floating and managed float. I'm not saying don't float.
You have to defend your currency.
I'm not saying don't
Somehow.
float. I'm not saying don't float. Oh. Manage float. Manage float. That's why I gave the example of China, that even China is doing something like manage float. The Americans have been complaining now that the Chinese are cheating the rest of the world. That is not the true value of their currency. What if we are saying that the value of our currency is tied to inflation? Forex is tied to inflation, tied to inflationary pressures and all that. Then we must do something about it. If we do not address the value of our currency, we are not prepared to solve this problem.
Okay.
Honestly. And the hunger will not abate.
Let me.
Because we can't have a situation where the currency is like 1,600 and something to $1. What is the meaning of that?
Let me chip in this here.
What people have told me, I have friends who are solid economists. What some of them have told me was that, look, they are not against this float, but that it should have been done incrementally, not in one fell swoop. That is the problem.
Okay, I may agree with that. Anyway, in 1979, 80, 81, Margaret Thatcher was in the same shoe, and practically all the economists of UK then were against her. But that battered the tyranny.
Is UK as import dependent as Nigeria?
That's where I'm going to. I'm coming.
You are not now.
That battered the tyranny of the majority. They may not, be right always in any case. But let me go to the cross. Last year, I was asked in a television studio like this that where should the government focus on? And I said agriculture. Why? The most common staple, what we eat daily, cannot be dependent on the dollar. We have several things competing for this dollar, and we are not even earning more. We must do something very urgently. Get back to the farm. I call it back to the future. Get back to the farm. Let's go produce what we eat. When we do that, food prices will come down. I'm not supporting this reducing
the price of pharmaceuticals come down.
Please, I'm coming. We'll get
that's
there.
another problem.
I'm coming, please, we'll get there. Now, it is because of scarcity.
We'll increase food production, bring down the price of pharmaceuticals.
What is pushing dollar?
You know how many people are dying because they can't afford drugs.
They can't buy drugs.
What is pushing the dollar up?
This was the same way you were supporting Band-Aid, this thing. No.
See, I am not afraid.
Only to come and tell me that you didn't like the bill they sent to you.
I told them I'll pay. See,
you told me.
and I said I'll pay, right? And I said I'll pay, right? Hold on.
You told me.
I paid 452,000 naira.
A lot.
Yes.
So you complained. You complained, but you on the show you are supporting Band-Aid.
See, come. This thing is simple.
President
Please,
General.
hold on, no, please. Wait.
That salute will still come to 1 million naira.
Wait. No, let me say this. Let me say this.
That's good for you.
All I only just say,
I keep saying, no, wait, hold
almost
on.
$500,000 in a month.
See, I have businesses to run.
President General.
Oh, see, stop that. See, let's run this. See, let's say something here.
Okay.
Policies are not meant to favor you before you support it. If it is for the good of all, yes. You can't sit in your house, for example, as a big man, and you put on 5, 8, 10 ACs, and the government is paying for that for you. It's not possible. The government has not increased tariff. They only say for you Band A members, pay what you use. We can't be subsidizing luxury for you. But that woman maybe in the rural area who don't even use anything
Government
up to you. Please, I'm coming. Please, I'm coming. What they did is that, yes, is pay what you use. Government was subsidizing that before. They said, no, we are no longer subsidizing. Be paying for what you use. Simple. See, I'm not afraid to own up. See, I don't follow the crowd in my opinion.
Let's leave the...
See,
so it's
no, don't wait. When I register at London School of Economics, I don't mind. See, I don't mind. I'm not afraid to take... Wait, no, please wait.
That is my
I'm not afraid to take a position on what I'm convinced about. When I went into London School of Economics to study public policy analysis, I didn't go there for sentiment. It was, okay, what is right? We push for it. I'm saying right now, we should ensure that we source for $1 out by increasing the oil production, the volume, so that we can sell more and earn more dollars.
Okay.
What is driving the thing up is the fact that we don't have enough dollars.
Yes,
there's scarcity.
Okay,
yes.
That's to leave it there. I want to thank you, Kola Ole Johnson. Quite an interesting discussion. We could go on and on, but Governor Abdullahi Sule, thank you for that courage, for calling out.
For calling out.
Yes, you're calling.
Telling Nigerians to...
It's not all about Bola Tinubu alone. Yes, it's about those yourself. Other governors. Yeah. I want to
including Tinubu to anyway.
Yes, sir. So, I want to thank you, the Metro. BQ.
Thanks.
All right, and that's our package today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Since the last day of last season, we are ready to do it all again.
Phil Foden is having the season of his life. Brilliant! Just brilliant! That is quite something!
Stay connected for all the football you want, starting from 5,100 Naira per month.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen and are of little to no use? Cooking pots.
The Gotham Hammered Copper Collection is now available in Nigeria exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying over $490,000 for a collection of pans that are not even non-stick. Call the number on your screen now and get it for just 364,950 Naira. This incredible ShopX offer includes one 8.5 inches fry pan, one 10.25 inches fry pan, one 1.4 liters saucepan, one 2.4 liters saucepan, one 4.7 liters stock pot, one stainless steel steamer, 4 tempered glass lids. But wait! If you order now, we will upgrade you to the Premier Kitchen Collection at no extra charge and also include one cookie sheet, one round baking pan, one square baking pan, one loaf pan and muffin pan, and one all-in-one food processor that blends, grinds, chops, dices, pounds yam, and makes smoothies in seconds. All for just 364,950 Naira only. And that's not all. You can get the ShopX Premier Kitchen Collection in 2 easy payments of 182,475 Naira. Place your order now and we will deliver the entire collection for free anywhere you are in Nigeria. But hurry, this exclusive ShopX TV offer is for a limited time only, so call now while stocks last. The following was a paid presentation from ShopX TV.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear.
Good evening from Lagos, everyone. I am Nifemi Oguntoye, and this is Beyond 100 Days. You can join the conversation right now on X using hashtag Beyond 100 Days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG. Well, we're staying with the security situation in the country as President Tinubu meets with the National Security Council at the State House in Abuja. The meeting has in attendance all heads of security and law enforcement agencies in the country. They resolved to protect the territorial integrity of the country.
Has also said we should convey this, that we will not accept anybody, any individual flying any foreign flag in Nigeria. That is treasonable offense, and it will be viewed and treated as such. So nobody should allow himself to be used by any individual. Also the issue of coups. Nigeria is a sovereign nation. Nigeria is a democratic nation. All security agencies are here to defend democracy and make sure that democracy continues to strive. We will not accept anyone pushing or taking any action, seemingly or for whatever reason, to want to push for any change of government. Democracy is what we stand for. Democracy is what we continue to defend. For those of them flying flags, if you see a lot of them are kids being pushed to do that. We are following up with those ones that are sponsoring them, those that are pushing them, because you know the flags were also made. We identified those areas and we're going to take serious action against that. The president is clear on his instructions on for us not to accept anyone that wants to disrupt the peace and tranquility of Nigeria.
Early on Sunday, President Tinubu in a national broadcast appealed to protesters and the organizers of the nationwide protest to suspend all demonstrations following the violent twist to the protest in some states, with records of death, destruction of property, and looting of businesses. He says he's heard the grievances of the protesters loud and clear, adding that he understands the pain and frustration that drives the protest. The president said he has put in place measures to revamp the economy.
I commiserate with the families and relations of those who have died in the protest. We must stop further bloodshed, violence, and destruction. I hereby enjoin protesters and the organizers to suspend any further protest and create room for dialogue, which I have always acceded to at the slightest opportunity. Last month, we increased our oil production to 1.61 million barrels per day, and our gas assets are receiving the attention they deserve. Investors are coming back, and we have already seen 2 foreign direct investments signed, over $500 million since then. We are providing incentives to farmers to increase food production at affordable prices. I have directed that tariffs and other import duties should be removed on rice, wheat, maize, sorghum, and drugs, and other pharmaceutical medical supplies for the next 6 months. On the fiscal side, aggregate government revenue has more than doubled, hitting over 9.1 trillion naira in the first half of 2024, compared to the first half of 2023, due to our efforts at blocking leakages, introducing automation, and mobilizing funds creatively without additional burden on the people.
Joining me now is former President, Nigerian German Business Group in Germany, Joe Femi Dagoro, for more on this development. Mr. Dagoro, thank you for joining us on the program this evening. Mr. President seemed to have answered the call for him to address Nigerians following the nationwide protests, and we hear him acknowledge in that speech that among the protesters are young Nigerians who desire a better and more prosperous Nigeria. Let's begin with what you think about his Sunday morning speech.
Well, first of all, we have to understand the fact that this is a democratic government, and this has been shown. The way Mr. President has handled the entire situation. You know, when he's been preparing for this for a long time, he said at the beginning, and he's not making excuses. And he was once on the street, and he has demonstrated he knew what it is. And, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he made a statement. Though some might not be, satisfied with what he said, but I mean, that's leadership. He allowed it, and he appealed to the people. And we just have to begin to look at it from that maturity aspect of it. It's one thing for us to begin to look at whether all these things Mr. President has reeled out as measures are now in place or they will be in place. It's a different ball game. And how long will these things come into place? When are they going to come into place? Some are already in place. The implementation, those are the things that we have to sit down and dialogue and begin to say, okay, which one are already in place? Which one will come in place? How long? When are they coming into place? And I think I've said it before, the situation we find ourselves right now is going to be a bit tougher for a while. And we have to understand that, but it's difficult for us to understand because we can't see it coming. Some of us have seen it coming. Some of us cannot see it coming. We just believe immediately there is a change in government or change of pattern. Everything must change positively and immediately. But in reality, it's not like that. You see, this is a system that in some cases, the pillars of the whole system has collapsed or dilapidated, and in some cases there are no pillars at all. So how are we going to build the country? So, but then if we are building it and the citizens feel we are not, the government is not building it well or it's not rapid enough, then they have the right to protest, the right to express their mind, which they've done, which some of them are still doing, and there is room for dialogue. And in the process of this, a lot of things will be going on well, and the citizens will have to see that the government is working, and when the government is working and all these projects are online, it will be a good thing for this country.
We're going to talk about dialogue and the mode and manner you think it should take in a few minutes. But Mr. President also addressed the loss of lives that were recorded in states like Borno, Jigawa, Kano, Kaduna, and other states where violence erupted right from the first day of the protest last week. The destruction of properties, according to him, set us back as a nation, and not even at a time where there are scarce resources, to restore them. Would you say that as a nation, collectively, that we have learned significantly from incidences from the NSAS protest, for instance, in 2020 and the recent occurrence in Kenya?
Well, first of all, in cases like this where we have to lose lives, it's just unfortunate, and we feel it individually and collectively that we have to lose life or lives. It's unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. And some families are growing now, some families are mourning, and our hearts goes out to those families as well. But we have to look at the situation that no matter how careful our security agencies are, there are some situations whereby they might be uncontrollable in the sense that situations like this will have to happen. But when you look at it globally, we see how the youths or the citizens of other countries have taken to the street. In Bangladesh, you've seen it. In Kenya, you've seen it. Even in the UK lately, in Bristol, in Liverpool, you've seen all these things happening, and nobody really likes that, and nobody wants that at any level. It's something we all condemn. But when it is peaceful, when there is room for dialogue, I believe citizens should be able to take that opportunity, and then government as well should be able to take that opportunity to address the nation and to address the problems that the citizens are agitating for, or they are asking for the solution. I mean, they are not. This is not something that we do not know. And most of Nigerians, most of the citizens in this country, we all agree there is hunger in the land. The president agrees on that. He mentioned it a couple of times, and he said he understands it right from day one. But how do we solve the problem? We know the problem of security. We know the problem of agriculture. We know all this problem. How do we solve the problem? Yes, that is the big question. How and when do we have to solve this problem? And it's a continuous thing. And it's a continuous thing that we have to begin to. There's no one-day solution to all these things. It has to be a continuous. I mean, different ideas that will be tested. Some will work well, some will not work well.
There is a question of how to solve the problem. There's also the question of how, the people, the limitations that the people have to express their grievances. So if you listen to Mr. President's speech, he talked about having the constitutional responsibility to ensure public order, protect lives and property. But how does he balance that with the constitutional rights of people to protest, especially when you hear government say things like there's a clear political agenda to tear the nation apart through these protests? Don't you think that line is getting blurrier by the day? Because after all, in a democracy, the people should still have the right to protest, right?
Yes, this is a very delicate issue, and the balance have to be weighed by the government, because they have intelligence information, they have intelligence that being given to the president every day, and the national security advisor, he should know better. And where they see this kind of situation, before it gets out of hand, they have to tap it right away and tap the head and make sure that it doesn't get to that level, a situation whereby other countries' flag will be flown in Nigeria. That is not something we should support. But all this idea of looking into the situation whereby it's another political party, it's an opposition party or whatever, we don't know. I wouldn't know who is behind what, and that is not something any ordinary citizen will want to dabble into. But if the government has the intelligence report and they know how to deal with it, yes, let them go ahead and deal with it. Whoever that is trying to do such things, he knows that he or she will know the consequences before dabbling into it, and we have to face the law.
Absolutely. Let's also bring in a former lawmaker, a former senator representing Kaduna Central, and human rights activist Shehu Sani, who's also joined us from our studios in Abuja. Mr. Sani, thank you for joining us. You tweeted earlier about, how protesters should respond, especially after Mr. President's speech. You mentioned that they should suspend the protest and raise a team to dialogue with government, both at the federal and state levels. How does this work as someone who has a rich history in this regard?
Thank you very much for having me. Well, first of all, we must recognize and appreciate that Nigerians have the right to express their opinion, and the rights to assembly, and the rights to rally. They have the right to protest. That one cannot be denied. But the protest that is allowed by the Constitution of our country and the laws of our land is peaceful protest. I come from Kaduna State. The protest that took place is not a peaceful protest. And protest has rules of engagement, and which in a democratic society, demands are set and then demands are negotiated. If you call for a protest, there should be warning protest. There should be also a space for dialogue. And what I tweeted was that after the first 3 days of the protest, there is need to suspend the protest and raise a team to negotiate with the government at the federal and state level, and then restate your demands, so that at the end of the day, there will be something that is achieved out of the protest. Lives were lost, properties were destroyed, many people were rendered homeless, people made sacrifices, but at the end, there should be something to which has been delivered and achieved out of this protest, and it's done with a strategy. If you keep on protesting from day one to the last day and nothing is achieved, it means the whole effort is wasted. I'm speaking from Kaduna State, and when a protest is called, we have our concern. We come from history and experiences of protests that degenerated into violence, and we have been proven right with what has happened. I cherished and uphold and praises those who, out of their conscience and conviction, roll out in the street to express their opinion. But those who looted shops, vandalized government offices, and then molest others, snatched phones, unleashed terror and violence in the name of peaceful protest. This is not allowed in our democratic system. And especially in Kaduna State today, you can see what has happened. Some persons were sharing both money and Russian flags, and it means that the protest is not simply about the cost of living. It's not about the hardship. It's not about the insecurity. There are people with ulterior or hidden agenda that are either part of the protest or infiltrated the protesters and led us to where we are today. So that is why protests need leadership, a leadership that will drive the protest and control the crowd. Yes.
I hear you clearly, Senator Sonny, and I understand the, potential, or rather the prospect, the possibility of this protest being hijacked in some parts of the country. But what are the prospects of this dialogue that the federal government is talking about, especially when you look at it vis-a-vis the demands of these protesters? They are specifically asking that fuel prices should return to 100 naira per litre. And if you listen to Mr. President's speech on Sunday, he appears to have defending removing fuel subsidy and abolishing multiple foreign exchange systems as tough decisions he needed to have taken. He considers them a long-term solution to tackle Nigeria's ailing economy. That seems to be the very soul of his administration's strategy. How realistic do you think these demands are on the side of the protesters? And what's the prospect of the dialogue that government is calling for?
You see, every protest should at least end in a negotiating table, except if it has ulterior motives of overthrowing a government. Then you don't need to negotiate with anyone. You simply want to evict the government out of office. But if you look at Nigeria's history, ASU do protests, the NLC do protests, National Assembly of Nigeria students do protests, and each time they initiate these protests, there will naturally be an opposing statement from the government that we cannot meet up your demand and we don't have the resources to do what you want us to do. And then what they do is suspend and then give room for dialogue. If you have 10 demands and the government are able to meet up 3 or 4 of it, and then you give notice that if the rest of the demands are not met, we will resume our protests either in October or November. And then you give room for the government and consultations going on, and then it's achieved. But if you actually came out to the streets simply because you want to remove government and restore military rule, you will not have dialogue as a means of ending or achieving your aim. So that is my own view. Labour do make such kind of statement and go on protest, but they negotiate. The same thing with NLC, and the same thing with ASU and other rights groups. And this is how I feel the process.
Let me bring back Mr. Daguro into this conversation. Mr. President's speech on Sunday also highlighted what he considers the gains and the things he's been able to achieve in about 14 months thereabout. One of which is doubling, according to him, doubling the aggregate government revenue. I think he mentioned hitting over 9.1 trillion naira in the first half of 2024. Do you think these protesters are also making demands from the respective governors who are now getting more from the Federation account?
You have to understand that some of the protesters, they don't understand the rudiments or the fundamentals of our economy. And then this is one of the reasons why we have to begin to do more advocacy and to reach out to the people at the grassroots and to communicate to them the reasons why we are doing this. I mean, that's why you have agencies like the National Orientation Agency and some other agencies, and that's why you have the opportunity to reach out to the people and to make them understand. Most people, they have this illusionary idea that look, you have to go back to, if it's possible, 100 naira per litre. It can't work. And these are the things that the government has taken the bull by the horn. They've done it, but then they want to know if NMPCL is coming up and say, listen, this is why, this is how much this is costing us, this is what we are doing, and this is what we've been able to. It is not just the president alone that should be doing this. Other agencies have to come up with these programs whereby they will be reaching out to the people, maybe quarterly, maybe monthly, and so that people will be informed. And then when people are well informed to the grassroots level at the same time, then it's a lot more easier. And not everybody will sit down and watching the TV. Not everybody will have the opportunity of listening to the radio, but then go to the grassroots, have this dialogue with them directly, and let the people just understand what we are going through. I think we need to work on that. Another thing, like you just said, is this. It is clear that we are moving out of bankruptcy into a situation whereby we're having yields. And these yields, they want to know, citizens want to know, how are we making this yield? What are we making and what are we using it for? If we see all these things like the president has said he has done, and we can see it, we feel it, but then not everybody understands it. Not everybody feels it. That is the issue. So we need to do more. The state government have to do more. The state government have to communicate it more to the people. And that is why this issue of the local government autonomy is a good thing. Let's begin to ask the local government chairman and women what they collect, what they spend it on. Let us know the budget of the local government. This is where most of these are leaders from the grassroots, from the ward level. They have to begin to be opening up, to be transparent with some of these things, so that it will not be that the whole country will be looking up to Abuja and the president alone. We have people who are representing us. We have senators, we have reps, we have chairmen, we have councillors. What are these people? It's not when there's an issue.
I hear you clearly.
To see all of them on TV.
Yes.
Let this thing be a continuous thing so that people will be informed. I think we need a better information system.
We have to wrap up this conversation. Senator Sonny, if I can get your closing remarks very quickly. I'm sure you're following what appears a recalcitrant reaction to Mr. President's speech on Sunday, largely from the camp of those who are on the streets. How do you think government should move on, following this reaction, the insistence to get back on the streets to protest, learning from occurrences in Kenya, for instance, and what's going on currently in the UK?
Well, my position remains very clear that both the government and the protesters should make room for dialogue and negotiations on the demands. I am very much concerned in the sense that if this demand is about subsidy, is about hunger, is about hardship and the cost of living, then it should be restricted to that. We can't have a peaceful protest where people are looting shops, vandalizing government offices, and raising Russian flags. It means that it's not simply about the cost of living. There are ulterior motives behind this, and this has to be checked. The protesters are either infiltrated or they are either sponsored, as far as the case of our own state is concerned, which there is a need for an immediate action. Those who call the protest must show leadership and come out forward and control the monster they created for the peace and stability of this country.
Shehu Sani, former senator representing Kaduna Central and human rights activist, thank you so much for joining us on the conversation this evening. Joe Femi Dagoro is former president, Nigerian German Business Group in Germany. Gentlemen, thank you for your contribution on the program. And that's our show today, everyone. Thanks for being a part of it. You can watch it again at midnight and also at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear.
I'm Miriam Lunge. I'm a passionate environment advocate and a published author.
I am the founder of Celebration, a businesswoman, and a fashion icon.
I am a wealth coach and a real estate developer.
I am Amako Arakwe. I'm a corporate commercial lawyer and an entrepreneur.
Barkamu da warhaka. I am Ramatu Shehu Oyibo, an entrepreneur and a business coach.
I am the voice of an average Muslim woman, an hijabite, and a lawyer.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers.
efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are a long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge
At the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crumbs of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's model megacity, to move our GDP from the 5-6 position to the 3rd position, and we believe is achievable with all the commitments we have.
Explore the city of Lagos, where dreams are made and possibilities are endless.
I'm
Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
For over 6 decades, the Bank of Industry, BOI, has been driving Nigeria's industrial development through financial and business support services.
Bank of Industry is one organization that has kept their words with the Nigerian businesses.
I have been able to expand my business from catering, event management, into water production.
A single digit that Bank of Industry offers is the only solution to stay afloat.
BOI Impact, now showing Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. on TVC News.
Stakeholders engagement organized by the Veterinary Medicine and Allied Products Directorate of NAFDAC on the proper use and misuse of pesticides. This will be followed by updates on the sustained surveillance and enforcement activities that took place in the Northwest Zone as well as Rivers and Nasarawa State. Food is essential to the survival and continued existence of man. This is why it is pertinent to ensure that the food products we consume are wholesome. Among the factors that guarantee the wholesomeness of these food products is ensuring that these food products are free from contaminants, particularly pesticide residue. This is part of the critical areas that NAFDAC, as the regulatory agency that controls the food we eat, looks into.
In terms of food safety,
Yes.
I'm big on food because I take food as medicine. When you take medicine, it's once in a day. Some people don't take once. Some people don't even take medicine, except once in 3 months when they are not always ill. But you eat food every day. You drink every day. And if what you take in every day is not healthy, then you will have a cumulative effect of the outcomes of such contaminants. For example, mold. Aside from the fact that some people are very reactive to mold in the environment, but if you take in food that has mold, a lot of granules sold by the roadside that have not been sold for more, within 2 days or 3 days, sometimes they can grow mold. And if somebody takes that in every day, you take in aflatoxin, mycotoxin, molds, they can cause cancer. Pesticide residue. When a pesticide is sprayed on vegetable or on vegetation or whatever, there should be time for that pesticide to wear off. You cannot harvest it quickly. When you give medicine to animals, antibiotics for example, you cannot sacrifice the animals immediately. If not, you will be taking the antibiotics in the animal. And if it is the pattern, then you start taking antibiotics in every day through meat. Before you know it, your body will start getting comfortable with low levels of that antibiotic. When you are ill, the protein around the bacteria will have gotten used to low levels. So when they now when you now get very ill and you take medicine, they build that coat around themselves. That's antimicrobial resistance. Many people die all over the world. Unfortunately, we don't even have a record in Nigeria of it. That is why One Health is the approach that NAFDAC is taking now. Meaning, it's not just about drug. It is not just about food. It is about food and drug combined. Because through food, you are taking drug and it's affecting health. So we cannot separate the two in terms of the outcomes of either. Because we take food daily throughout life. That is why I put a lot of emphasis on food.
In further performing its obligation of ensuring that the phenomenon of pesticide residue in food products is controlled and that proper regulation is done, NAFDAC, through its Directorate of Veterinary Medicine and Allied Products, has several modalities in place, among which is regular engagement of stakeholders in the food production sector as well as food supply chain. One of the stakeholders' engagement took place recently at the agency's Lagos office complex. The engagement, which took place at the instance of the Veterinary and Allied Products Directorate, gathered stakeholders to enlightenment, discussion, and interaction. Among the stakeholders at the gathering were CropLife Nigeria, National Agro Input Dealers Association, Pest Control Association of Nigeria, and market associations, and so on. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, who joined the meeting virtually, spoke about the role of pesticide in the agricultural value chain and the great challenges their misuse can cause. The NAFDAC Director General stressed that she is particularly concerned about the level of rejects faced by goods exported from Nigeria to other countries as a result of their level of pesticide residue content and the dent this is causing to the image of Nigeria. She said this is why NAFDAC is not resting on its odds to combat this situation. Earlier in her welcome address, the director of the VMAP Directorate of NAFDAC, Dr. Ramatu Momodu, spoke about the significance of dialogue and collaboration with stakeholders in addressing this situation.
This event marks a crucial initiative aimed at fostering dialogue, collaboration to address the agency's growing concerns regarding the inappropriate use of pesticides in our food supply on commodities such as beans, crayfish, stockfish, fruits, and various agricultural products, where misuse poses significant threats to public health. The misuse of pesticides has emerged as a pressing issue with profound implications for public health, environmental sustainability, and agricultural resilience. While these chemicals are indispensable for safeguarding crops against pests and diseases, their inappropriate application can result in severe risks such as respiratory ailments and skin irritations, to organ damage and potentially long-term implications such as cancer and in some cases death. NAFDAC remains deeply concerned about the impact of pesticide misuse on agricultural produce, particularly when residues exceed maximum residue levels, leading to contamination that jeopardizes regulatory compliance, international trade, and overall food safety standards. Furthermore, the environmental consequences are stark, with pesticides polluting soil, water sources, posing threats to non-target organisms like pollinators and aquatic life. Sustainable agricultural practices are paramount for the longevity of our food systems. This necessitates adopting safe and responsible use of pesticides, integrated pest management strategies, and promoting natural pest control methods. These measures not only enhance agricultural sustainability, but also fortify our resilience against future challenges.
The VMAP Directorate also explained that NAFDAC has always collaborated with stakeholders as a routine.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, through VMAP Directorate, has steadfastly collaborated with stakeholders, advocating for advancements in good agricultural practices, GAP, good warehouse practices, GWP, good manufacturing practices, to uphold food safety and food security and ensure the safety of crop protection products. The significance of this program cannot be overemphasized. NAFDAC is committed to safeguarding the health of our nation. Active engagement, active listening, mutual understanding, and collaborative efforts are indispensable in realizing our shared objectives and achieving positive outcomes for our organization and the markets we serve.
The Director, Food Safety and Allied Products, Mrs. Eva Edwards, Director, NAFDAC Central Laboratory, Oshodi, Dr. Tunde Sigweku, as well as the Director, Lagos Office of NAFDAC, Mr. Kayode Fagboyo, also took turns to talk about the exigency of the issue of discuss.
So essentially, what do we all want at the end of the day? We want a healthy, well-nourished Nigerian population. And this will only come from transforming our food systems. And that essentially means having safe, right quality, healthy and nutritious diets. And we all have critical roles to play to ensure that we get to that end point. We want to avoid food losses, food waste from all of our own. Thank you very much, because at the end of the day, you are all aligned to the NAFDAC purpose. And at the end of the day, our payoff says NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation. Let you know that we have a desk in the Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate, which deals with exports. And so that desk, what it does, is called the National Inquiry Point for Food Safety. We offer guidance for exports to destination countries. And what this does is that it gives you the right information from the onset, so that it will guide you to what you require, so that those products are not rejected when they get to those destination countries. So that is some good information for you. I want to seize this opportunity to also recognize the food companies that are present today in the house. Because what you produce uses the raw materials coming from those who are preparing those raw materials, who are using the pesticides. And so it is the common vision, the common goal is that when these go into your production processes, you are taking all the necessary precautions to ensure that at the end of the day, the product that is available and offered for sale to the Nigerian population is safe. It will do them no harm when they consume it. It will not lead them to, over time, have negative health consequences.
Nigeria is the largest producer of beans in the whole of Africa, and the fourth largest in the world. So we have a lot of potential, but because of this misapplication of pesticides, we are having reject. And the country is losing a lot, billions of dollars as a result of this reject. So I think this program is coming at a better time. We have to be thinking of good agricultural practices along the value chain so that our products can be accepted in the international market.
From the data I've reviewed in the lab, I'm yet to see one agrochemical that failed totally in terms of formulation. We have good quality agrochemicals in this country. So where is the problem coming from? Is how we undo and use. Because we have 2 labs in Oshodi that directly deal with agrochemical, the pesticide formulation lab and the pesticide residue lab. For the fact that your formulation pass in the pesticide formulation lab does not make the produce you use it to grow to pass in pesticide residue lab. And that is where the irony comes in. What is the problem within the gap? The problem is misuse. You don't take prescription from your friend. Take prescription from professional.
There were also paper presentations. First was the one delivered by Mr. Nwoye of the VMAP Directorate on behalf of the Director of the Directorate, Dr. Amatu Momodu, which was titled Pesticide Management in the Food Chain.
Incidents of unhealthy practices in storing food produce such as grains, crayfish, stockfish using prohibited or unapproved chemical pesticides has reached an alarming level, particularly in the marketplace. These practices are not limited to market vendors, but also include aggregators, exporters of grains and other agricultural produce. You know, whenever we talk about pesticides, we're not just looking at only the market. Though we have the market association here, we also have the aggregators, we also have the producers and exporters of these products. So whenever we talk about the effect of this thing, is affecting the general agricultural sector, because when there is residue above the MRL in these products, when anybody consumes, it's going to have effect. You can't export, and you can't even store appropriately, because when you don't know how to store this produce, that is where you're going to have residues in your crops. So these are the issues that have to do with generally the whole agricultural sector. Agricultural community worldwide are routinely exposed to pesticides. And on the consumer side, pesticide contamination is a significant safety concern in the fresh food market. So this is a very great challenge, and there's a need for us to do something about it.
Dr. Ifeoma Okafor, Deputy Director, Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, also made a paper presentation titled Good Storage Practices and Preservation of Food, with emphasis on distributors, retailers, and household use.
Principles of good storage practices. Cleanliness. Cleanliness, we all know what cleanliness means. Just keeping your warehouse or whatever facility you're using to store your product, keeping the areas, the storage areas very clean, free from dust, dirt, and debris. Regular cleaning will help prevent contamination and pest infestation. We heard about pest management, and pests will actually contaminate your products, whether grains or crayfish, whatever you're keeping in your warehouse. So we have to implement good pest control measures. He mentioned it, you have to put traps. You can go the extra mile of sealing those entry points for these rodents. Then temperature control is very, very critical. Most items have a specific temperature range where you should store them. And this temperature requirement is you should be able to maintain the temperature which is appropriate for the products you are storing to prevent spoilage, chemical degradation, or loss of efficacy. So if you are storing dry products, you should know that those dry products you should store in an environment which is dry, free of moisture, because high moisture will impact on your grains. Then humidity control. Most times, low humidity is good for your storage, If you store in high humidity, the possibility of molds growing is high. And therefore, if you notice your environment is moldy, you should try to use the humidifiers or moisture-absorbing materials. At times, like calcium chloride, I don't know, people who do importation using containers, they used to put calcium chloride in those containers because it is hygroscopic. It absorbs atmospheric moisture. So we should try to see how we can use that in our warehouses. When you start noticing that those warehouses are humid.
The stakeholders also gave their goodwill messages and commendations to NAFDAC for the initiative. There was also a question and answer session as well as the interactive session, which enabled the stakeholders in attendance to ask questions on grey areas.
NAFDAC and Your Health continues after the short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You are still watching NAFDAC and Your Health.
The Northwest Zonal Office of NAFDAC, under the leadership of the Director, Northwest Zone, Mrs. Josephine Doyle, again in a sustained enforcement routine, clamped down on sellers of counterfeit, falsified and expired products in Kaduna and Zaria local government areas of Kaduna State. This time, the enforcement exercise took them to patent medicine stores, supermarkets, illegal bakeries and yogurt producing factories producing under poor conditions. In the course of the exercise, some illegal outfits were caught producing violating products in Zaria and Kaduna metropolis without NAFDAC's marketing authorization and under poor good manufacturing practice (GMP), poor good storage practices (GSP), and poor good hygienic practice (GHP). These illegal and dangerous practices, according to the Northwest Zonal Director, could pose serious health risks to unsuspecting members of the public. The Director and a team of regulatory officers from the Northwest Zonal Office placed on hold some of the illegal outfits production lines and mopped up expired products, food, cosmetic products in Zaria and Kaduna local government areas in Kaduna State during the routine surveillance and enforcement activities. All the unregistered, counterfeit and expired products found in the various premises visited were mopped up for destruction, and fines of the stipulated investigative charges were imposed on the violators to serve as deterrents to others who might want to imitate them. Mrs. Dalim further said that the current leadership of the agency is working hard to ensure that stakeholders are doing businesses without compromising standards and violating the laws to ensure the production of safe, quality and wholesome products. The offenders caught during the exercise included 2 illegal bakeries producing bread with potassium bromate, 1 yogurt producing facility with poor good manufacturing practice and poor good hygienic practice, where production was put on hold, and 6 supermarkets that had in stock unregistered and expired food and cosmetic products. Also raided were 4 patent stores. The Northwest Zonal Director warned those involved in the illegal and dangerous acts to desist, adding that anyone caught breaking the law of the agency will be sanctioned appropriately, as the agency is not relenting in its drive to safeguard the health of the public. She further advised members of the general public against patronizing unregistered and expired NAFDAC regulated products because of the potential health risk they could pose, including kidney failure, loss of hearing and so on. She said bread produced with potassium bromate and microbiologically contaminated yogurt can transmit diseases like diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, typhoid fever and cancer after prolonged exposure to toxins, and could even lead to death. She advised members of the general public to therefore always check for NAFDAC registration number, batch number, manufacturing date, best before date, storage condition, direction for use and other prepackaged food labeling requirements before purchasing NAFDAC regulated products. In the same vein, the River State Office of NAFDAC recently shut down 4 illegal bakeries, while 2 unapproved bakery facilities were also shut down in Nasarawa State by the NAFDAC office in the state. That was NAFDAC Update. You have been updated.
That is all we have for you on this edition of the program. Another educative edition will come your way again next week. Meanwhile, if you have any information for NAFDAC that will aid its efforts to safeguard the health of Nigerians, please reach out to us.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700-162-3322. For complaints, call 0800-162-3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Do not be part of the criminal act of producing, importing, distributing, marketing, advertising, or selling of unwholesome food products, fake drugs, cosmetics, and medical equipment. These acts pose great danger to the health of Nigerians. Till we meet again next week, stay safe.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen and are of little to no use? Cooking used to be fun, but now it just feels like a chore. Introducing ShopX Gotham Hammered Copper Collection, the perfect cookware to upgrade your cooking experience. The Gotham Hammered Copper Collection features a super durable ultra non-stick surface. Eggs stick to other pans, but with the Hammered Copper Collection, they slide right out. Incredible! Plus, the Cool Touch solid cast handle makes it safe and easy to cook even the hottest dishes. It's oven safe up to 500 degrees, so bake this beautiful chicken stew pizza and
This is the Dangote investment on the Ibeju-Lekki axis of Lagos State. The biggest private investment in Africa.
We just want
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news.